Going back to the Pac-12, and spoiler alert, we're probably going to stick with the Pac-12 until we close up with the FCS here. A couple of interesting games. We have Washington State, a 6-point road favorite at Arizona State. This game kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Pac-12 network, so good luck watching it. And it also has an over-under of 51 points. Look, this kind of feels like a nice buy low spot on Wazoo. They just got smoked by Arizona. We'll talk about Arizona later. Won't get too far into that. And then they head into Arizona State, who just hung around with USC, with Washington, with Colorado. They also got blanked 29-0 by Fresno State. You know, the difference between those teams in my mind is that Fresno wasn't taking Arizona State lightly like Washington probably was, like USC definitely was. You know, or there is an option. Are they really just improving? Yeah, maybe, probably, especially with the new coaching staff. They had some growing pains, I'm sure. But I want to see how Arizona State recovers after that really tough loss last week. I mean, they had Washington on the ropes. Probably could have won that game until they threw that late pick six. That's really tough to come off of. We talked about it with some other teams earlier in the year. Losing tough games like that, you don't play your best football after that usually. The Washington State box score looked a lot better than the game was, though, when they played Oregon. They scored with a minute left when they were down 38-16. That game was all Ducks. I think it's easier to list off who is in for Arizona State. Injuries have kind of been the big deal for them. Their offensive line is down at least 3 starters every week. Jaden Rashada likely still out. Drew Pine is likely out. They've been playing well, though, with all these bad. Like, there's a lot of heart. Hat off to Kenny Dillingham for getting his guys rallying the troops every single week. Look, this looked like a potential regression for Washington State. If you kind of look at it like, whoa, they're not playing as well. But, you know, to me, it just kind of looks like a bad couple of games. Cam Ward had 8 turnover-worthy throws versus UCLA and Arizona, and he only has 14 on the whole year. They could still finish 8-4. They have Arizona State, Stanford, Cal, Colorado on tap. So I think Washington State looking to right the ship. This could be a pretty good buy low spot on them and a sell high on Arizona State, who had just played competitively against these 3 teams.
I agree with you on both. Buy low Washington State, sell high Arizona State based on the resumes to date, how they're trending, and then what's left in front of them. I'm going to get to that, Brett. Game has a watchability score of 5.9. I have Washington State -8. It's a 71% win expectancy for the Cougars. You kind of touched on it. The season started with so much promise for Washington State. 4-0 coming out of their off week, heading to the Rose Bowl. Cougars were number 8 in my most deserving rankings. Again, those become more informative the later we get in the year, but at that time, number 8 had a K-Ford rating of 7.6. 3 conference losses later, Washington State's now outside the top 40 of the most deserving. Their power rating has fallen 3.5 points, which actually is not that bad for 3 losses. Again, you look at losses, you think, oh, they're going to fall. It's not about wins and losses, it's about how you play. So they have underachieved relative to the bar the model had for them, but not a ton over the course of three conference losses. And even with all that, Washington State is still on track for 6.9 regular season wins by my numbers. That's a full win more than the preseason realistic expectations. Getting the season back on track starts on the road this week. You said a game in which my numbers give the Cougars the advantage on both sides of the ball. On the other side, Arizona State, I mean, they're a 3-point win against FCS Southern Utah in week 1 away from being 0-7. I mean,
and Southern Utah's not really even that good.
I know. I remember after that game, like that was I think Arizona State was downgraded in the top 2 or 3 most of any team that I had in the model after that week. And it was in a win. And I was just like, yikes, like, man, red flag about Arizona State. I didn't think it'd continue to get this bad. At number 92 in the power rating, Sun Devils have fallen 27 spots since the preseason. Only Baylor, Michigan State, and Southern Miss have fallen further in season here. The offense, it's been really bad. Currently ranks last in the Pac-12. It's number 106 nationally. While last week at Washington was certainly an encouraging performance. As you said, maybe this is a sell low or sell high here. Losing to a really good Husky team by only 8 points. The defense, they're now up to a season best 57. The outlook is still grim, though, because with a 29% win expectancy in this one, this is the best chance my numbers give Arizona State to win another game this season. For as, quote, easy as Washington State's upcoming schedule might be viewed as, Arizona State's is viewed as that, quote, difficult. So bottom line in this one, Washington State -8, 71% win expectancy on the road here for the Cougars.
And look, I know that when it comes to betting and shows like this, it's a lot about definitive statements, make up your dang mind. I am going to leave the door open that, Arizona State may actually be improving and that Washington State could be regressing. We've both kind of said yes, but I will put out there that absolutely is a possibility, and I think we'll definitely find out if that's the case depending on the performance this week.
We will.
Yeah, and Arizona State just on the season, like I said, Kenny Dillingham, great job. They've had way more fight than I expect out of this team, especially with the piles of injuries that they got going on all season long. But this is still Washington State for me. I'm actually probably looking to the first half. You can find it -3.5. I would love it at 3, but first half lines are pretty slow to move. Looking at first half, -3.5 for Wazoo, on the possibility that Arizona State comes out flat and dejected after that really disappointing loss that could have had it against Washington. So that's the way that I lean in this game.